Hello! What's going on, people? We're trying something different today. Last time when I did the movie reviews for Thor: Love and Thunder and Jurassic World, it was just me in the studio showing off Funko Pops. We're still doing that, but we also have a couple guests here, and we're gonna basically try to turn this review into more of a conversation as well. I skipped out on Wakanda Forever. I just didn't have time to do it, and to be quite honest, there wasn't much to talk about for that film. But this one, being the start to a new phase of Marvel, it felt like a movie that was definitely worth talking about. And of course, I am talking about Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania. We just saw it 2 days ago, so everything is still kind of fresh in our minds. Obviously, we would have shot it sooner, but I had Fan Expo to go to. And we also have two guests here. You might want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Brandon.
I'm Santos.
You've seen Santos before. He was in the Optimus Prime Lego review. Obviously, in this movie review, there will be spoilers. So the first section of this edited podcast, we're going to just give our basic thoughts and obviously not give away too much of the film. So if you're here for that, good for you. And then at some point, I'll do like a commercial break, and that is your time to click off the video if you don't want to get spoiled. And then after that, we're going to dive right in. We're going to go into uncharted territory and have no filter and spoil everything. So you have been warned. Overall experience?
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10?
Yeah, somewhere 7 out of 10 too. The visuals are good. The idea overall is good. They go into the quantum realm. It's overall interesting concept. There haven't been too many movies or too many Marvel movies on that. And the villains were interesting as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of diversity and the different people down in the quantum realm. Like, usually Marvel movies are, well, they're still diverse, like, in characters, but you don't get to see, like, interesting, like, alien creatures.
Adding on top of that, it does feel like Star Wars has met Marvel, because it has, like, without giving anything away, it does feel like you're traversing to the prequels when you first enter the quantum realm, and a lot of the CGI creatures would showcase that. But then again, I think since Peyton Reed did Mandalorian a bit, so he kind of has some of that experience to take into this movie. I think they shot some of the scenes in the volume. So yeah, no, like the visuals were definitely good. How about the overall story?
It was a bit different from what the trailer was portraying, but also there were a couple of plot holes in the movie, so there was a bit of inconsistency.
There was tension, there was humor, there was lots of humor, in fact.
Too much.
Yeah, sometimes a little too much. Also, there was large scale, there was action for sure. There was large scale fights, I'll say that. Like the whole army on army, large scale fighting. Yeah, we have that. You can definitely tell the budget increased a lot from the previous two Ant-Man movies, because it's kind of more like down to earth, literally down to earth. What do you think of Jonathan Majors acting?
He's good as Kang. Like he's good as an intimidating villain. He has a lot of expressions. You can see, like, if you've seen Loki as well, a little bit of spoilers for that. His acting as He Who Remains is much different from this version of Kang. You can see there's a lot of, like, range.
My one gripe is Evangeline Lilly didn't really do much as the Wasp. She just said a couple lines, did some action, that was pretty much it. It felt like she was more on the side character, being how her name's in the title of the movie. Yeah. So I feel like, yeah, if she did a little more, that would have been great to see. But needless to say, they still did pretty good. What about our new Cassie with Catherine Newton?
She has a similar suit to Ant-Man, but just it's purple now instead of red. She's basically essentially learning how to use her powers. So she's kind of like how Ant-Man was in the first movie. It's sort of, you can feel but it's like she's an apprentice, but she's also Ant-Man's daughter, so he tries to protect her a lot throughout the movie. So you can see a lot of that relationship. It's a lot of the emphasis on that throughout the movie, and I think it's also a bit overdone. Like they focus too much on that.
Yeah, I agree. Same.
Okay. I do want to talk about this. This isn't really spoilers, and it is the how this movie is received. I feel like this movie was definitely overhated. For Love and Thunder, okay, it makes sense why everyone hated it. There was a lot of things wrong with that movie. But for this one, it's actually not that bad. Like, one of the key things people complain about is a spoiler, so we'll talk about that later. But just a lot. I feel like a lot of people, especially the critics, since they're not fans, they don't know a lot about the source material, and they just look at this movie as a movie. Yeah, I feel like they're just being too critical about it. There are some points where I do gotta agree that went wrong with the movie, but it's not as bad as you think.
It's enjoyable. Like, it's fun to watch, but if you pay attention to the small details and all that, you might see, like, inconsistencies and stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't like Eternals where I fell asleep in that movie.
Yeah, Eternals. Sorry, but that would, for if anyone out there actually likes that movie, like, sorry, that movie wasn't it. it was boring. I watched it once and never again. But speaking of rewatching, I would say, would this movie be worthy of a rewatch?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
yeah. I definitely think when it comes out on digital, like on Disney Plus, like, it doesn't hurt to give it another go. So yeah, but we have the pops. So Santos, if you want to show off these pops, I'll show off these ones. So I guess you go first. So what's the first one we have? We have
King.
So yeah, Jonathan Majors' character. How accurate is that suit? What do we think?
Pretty accurate, but there's no helmet.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they could do one. Maybe a chase where he has a helmet on. That would be pretty cool. And speaking of Jonathan Majors, since we talked about him a little bit, we decided to bring him out, and that is the He Who Remains. Obviously, he's from Loki, so as Brandon said, his acting was like very different.
There's a range of emotions. You can see he's like very carefree in Loki, and then in King, in the new movie, it's actually intimidating.
And then obviously our surprise villain. It's not really much of a spoiler because he was in the trailer, so don't get mad at me. This is MODOK. And it was actually because of Funko people found out about MODOK, because they leaked the pops a little bit early, and then they officially announced it, and now it's on our table right here. So you can only blame Funko. So on my side here, obviously we have Ant-Man himself. Whoa, don't hit the mic. We have Ant-Man himself. We don't have any other versions of him. Okay, and then also we have the Wasp. Obviously, they did put out a Chase version with her at the same time, so here's both versions. Now, I gotta say, I made this comment when I first did that video with these pops. What do you think of her hair?
I don't really like it as much. She went from Ant-Man 1 short hair to Ant-Man 2 long hair, and then Ant-Man 3 like even shorter hair.
Even shorter hair. But I get what they're doing. It's supposed to be, I guess, accurate with the comics. I feel like it grew on me. It, like, at first glance, I was like, what is that hair? But I think eventually I got used to it. And then obviously here's her helmet on. That is the actual suit. I mean, her suit looks different here, right, from the second movie. Those are the pops. Maybe sometime down the line, Funko will put out more, maybe, because they haven't done one for Cassie yet. They haven't done one, as he said, helmeted Kang. Oh, also, I guess, an unmasked MODOK.
Oh yeah, the people in who live in.
Oh yeah, the people living there. Yeah, they could do pops on those guys too. As far as non-spoilers is concerned, I think we're good. So, what was your score again?
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10 and
7 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll say the same. It's also 7 out of 10 and definitely worth a rewatch. So that's our non-spoiler section. So this is your time now to click away if you don't want to get spoiled. However, if you've already seen the movie or don't give a damn about spoilers, you may stay. Because we're about to dive. We're gonna spill everything. So yeah. Alright. We'll give you 5 seconds to click away. Hi, I'm gonna pause this episode right now to talk about protectors, Funko collectors. Do you always hate it when you drop your box and all of a sudden just the condition of it gets ruined? Well, that's why pop protectors are a thing. Here, let me show you. I just got this Namor pop, comic accurate Namor, by the way, and there is box damage on it, unfortunately. But to make sure it doesn't get hurt any further, I have some options. But this protector isn't it. There's cracks. There's scratches. There's grease marks. Nah. You don't want this for your protectors, don't you? You want the cleanest and only the best for your pop. So let me introduce to you EVORETRO. EVORETRO has been helping me a lot with my collection because obviously I have an abundant amount of pops, and if it wasn't for them, many of my grails would be in the water right now. These pop protectors are extremely affordable. You can buy them on Amazon for a 20-pack, a 30-pack, or a 40-pack, or if you have a ton of pops like me, get a 100-pack. The prices are very affordable. They go from 20 to 60 bucks depending on how much you buy. They also have protectors for double packs, 6 inches, and 10-inch pops. Yes, even the big boys need protection. So what are you waiting for? Go on your Amazon page right now, click on EVORETRO's website, and find whatever options they have available to make sure your pops stay in the best condition possible. Thanks, EVORETRO. And what are you doing? Get this trash out of here. You want EVORETRO. This is garbage. You don't want that. EVORETRO, guys. Click on the link now in the description. Back to the episode. Alright, if you're still here, it is time to dive deep into spoilers. We will absolutely have no filter. We're going to talk about everything.
Okay. So at the beginning, there's the scene where Kang falls into the quantum realm, and you can see Janet, which is the mom, basically meet him. So later, should I skip ahead?
It's fine.
Okay.
Let's go.
Later on, you basically find out she saved him, and technically Janet is kind of responsible for creating Kang, which is not basically. And then she finds out through his ship, which is like they use some fancy science terms. Basically, she can read his mind and finds out that he's actually evil and he kills a bunch of people. So she decides to kill his multi-dimension travel orb, and he gets stuck there. So that's kind of the reason why he's the villain, and his origin story, sort of.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's like supposed to be the next big bad of the MCU. So Thanos was the first one. And then Kang is next. And the thing of Kang is like what? He's like multiple variants. So that's how we saw He Remains in Loki. And then the post-credit scene, which we can talk about, has a whole gathering of Kangs. You said something about the Egyptian one, right?
Yeah, I'll get to that. But the whole group of them is called the Kang Dynasty, and in Avengers 5, I guess all of them will be facing the Avengers.
Yeah, so it's gonna be carnage. And I know some people didn't like this movie for the very reason that Kang dies at the end. Well, sort of. But we don't know. So basically Kang he's supposed to be he's represented as very OP thing, and definitely, if we're being honest, he's way out of league for Ant-Man. He's way too strong for Ant-Man. But he in the end he still gets overpowered by ants. And then he gets pushed into the ship's core and gets fried. So he's quote unquote dead, or at least supposed to be dead at the moment. But the thing is, with the post-credit scene, all the other Kangs were like, they mentioned he was the weakest one. Like, the weak one was killed. So, I feel like that's where the critics overviewed it. They didn't catch that detail, and they're like, why did they kill him off? Weak start to phase 5 and all that. So I feel like that is what they definitely missed. Okay, so what were we going to say? This is the post-credit scene. So, when all the Kangs gathered, there was
the Egyptian guy, so his name is King Rama-Tut. There's this futuristic Kang, but I don't know his name. Or
kind of looks like an Eternal.
But...
And
then there's this like elderly Kang, or I don't know, called Immortus. And then there's like one in the stadium, and it's like a red figure, but I forgot his name. He's a descendant of Mr. Fantastic.
who was in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, and basically he's a scientist who like messed around with time and stuff. So he went back to the past and ruled Egypt. That's why he's King Ramatut. And then he got defeated by the Fantastic Four. So he kind of went back through time and eventually became king. But in this movie, I guess they're like King Ramatut and Kang are like two different versions. Or two different people who come from different universes.
And then they've just like gathered to, I guess, form the Council of Kangs. I think that's what it's called.
The Kang Dynasty.
Oh, Kang Dynasty.
The title of the Avengers.
Obviously, Jonathan Majors had to play a lot of different Kangs. There was also one, I think, he kind of looked like a lizard, was it? There was a Kang in the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of looked like a lizard. So, yeah, it people are theorizing that when Kang got thrown into the engine, he might become the Beyonder. So he might be like, he's just upgrading from that death. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see where they take it. There was a second post-credit scene, and that involved Loki. I guess it's to set up season 2 of the show. It was very quick, right? Wait, how did it go again? I already don't remember.
There's a king doing his, valid, like, what's that? It's like Old English style. He was doing a play.
Shakespeare-like play.
Shakespeare play,
like
yeah. And then Loki's like, that's him. And then he talks to the other guy, which is, his name is like...
Mobius.
Yeah. Very close to Morbius. And yeah, they're looking for Kang supposedly.
Yeah, I think like Loki, he was actually like very terrified of him, so he's like, that's him. And then Mobius like, oh, he's not that bad. And then
I think he was showing off his invention. It wasn't a play. Like his time machine thing.
Oh, okay.
And that's another version. His name is Victor Timely. And in the comics, he like... In that era, he makes a whole city with like robotics and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like a futuristic thing.
Yeah, but like in the past. Like
Yeah, okay.
1900s style.
I don't know. What do we think of this Kang, though? Like, from this movie? Like, the way he was fighting and all that.
Basically, he had this blue delete beam. It's kind of like Iron Man. It just starts deleting everyone. All the trailer clips are like very specifically handpicked. There's the scenes like Ant-Man says like, we just both have to lose. And basically everyone from that trailer alone was thinking Ant-Man's gonna die, Kang's gonna win, and he's gonna get out. And then we find out that the plot twist is that no, that doesn't happen. It's the good ending. Ant-Man survives. Kang supposedly dies, and all that.
Well, Ant-Man still got beaten really badly by Kang. Like, everyone saw that from the beginning, and it did happen. Kang did beat him, because as we established, Kang is way too out of league for Ant-Man. For a guy who shrinks, he's way too out of league. But
speaking of shrinking, Ant-Man, like, does not shrink in this movie most of the time. He
grows big, actually. Yeah. He grows more big than shrinking. And also, at the final confrontation, when Kang is beating up Scott, the Wasp shows up to save the day. She goes back in the portal to save him. Again, that felt like that wasn't bad, but she was shooting blaster fire at him.
Cliche.
Yeah, and for some reason that was able to hold him back. Because in the beginning, it showed he was very, very good at fighting. Because literally, the two, like Ant-Man and Wasp, they shrank to try to like punch him. He just flicked them away like bugs. Yeah. He was just like, boop, go away. So
he was weakened by that point. The movie showed like his blasters and all that were all damaged.
Yeah, but even then, I feel like plot armor was kinda in the play there.
Yeah, well, so, also when the Wasp was shooting him, his armor was gone, and in the comics or like also in the movie, he actually doesn't have any superpowers. It's his suit that does all his work, so he can like shoot beams from his suit.
Okay, I want to talk about him. MODOK. People clown on his design. People think he looks like Humpty Dumpty with armor. I can see it, but he doesn't look bad, right? He doesn't look as bad as people think. Like, the thing is, MODOK is supposed to be a giant floating head. He needs to be a CGI character. There's no way you can get an actor to actually like try to play him on set. So I think the visual effects team did pretty well with MODOK. Like, especially when he wears his armor, he has his mask he puts on, and a bunch of weapons come out of him. So he's built for combat. Obviously, it's an acronym designed for killing. So yeah, like they captured him pretty well. And honestly, to bring him into live action was never going to be the smoothest transition, anyways. So I think they did okay. However, the way MODOK was written, I think some parts could be worked on.
Kind of the comic relief character in the movie, because they took out Luis and that whole gang thing. He kind of sacrifices himself at the end to try to defeat Kang. We don't know how much effect he actually had. There's also the funny scene of him just popping his head into Kang's bubble.
That's going to be a meme potential. So what he's talking about is during the final battle when the ant army comes in and starts beating everyone up on Kang's army, the Kang creates this force field to protect himself from the ants. And at the same time, MODOK had a change of heart all of a sudden from a little motivational talk from Cassie, and just slammed his face into the shield. So you can see his face just pressed up against the shield. And then he actually, I forgot what he did. He did something that actually broke Kang's shield, and then the ants get him. But from doing that, MODOK dies. That's the spoiler, the big spoiler of him. He dies as an Avenger.
Supposedly.
Self-claimed. But the thing is, I feel like that was a little bit brushed over too quickly. It was a very short scene. The heroes, like, they go over to MODOK, and then he's like, "Oh, hope you change." He says some stuff, and then he dies. And that was it. They move on. Nothing else happens. Like, I feel like that was just glossed over.
They ran out of budget for it.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta. Maybe that's why they killed him off. He was too expensive to do.
Like, what is he gonna do when he comes back if he was alive?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe. Well, I mean, he could be like an anti-hero, like Venom, and work with the heroes.
Do you really want a floating head?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Was Yellow Jacket in the comics? I don't know.
Yeah, Yellow Jacket was in the comics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't originate from Yellow Jacket.
Oh yeah, that's also the spoiler of MODOK. He is Yellow Jacket from the first movie, so his name wasn't again like Darren Cross.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he actually died, I feel like a better play would be like Kang's about to shoot Cassie, and MODOK jumps in the way and takes the shot, and he dies from that. Like, that would have been more like that would hit. It would hit more.
More emotional.
Yeah, that would more. Yeah, because in the beginning he was obviously chasing Cassie, trying to kill her, and if he like does that switch, then he should at least try to die saving her. I feel like that would have been a full circle for the character.
His design is not bad if you ignore the weird anatomy. There's also this the scene where he basically, you can see his butt, and then they were putting the armor on him.
Yeah.
There's the kid behind us that was just shouting.
Oh my god, that kid was so annoying. The people, like the whole like rebellion thing.
Oh.
Like, you think it was good?
Like Star Wars.
Yeah, I felt it awful like Star Wars. I feel like, yeah, because it's like a group of people who are rebelling against an empire, which is Kang's army. And from a little motivational talk, they make a stand and try to fight back. Like, it's very Star Wars. Like a small group fighting back against an empire. There's a big bad. Obviously in Star Wars that would be Vader and Palpatine. But it's not bad, but it just felt like a reused story writing format again. The humor, especially the dick part. when Cassie is telling MODOK, try not to be a dick. I feel like that was kind of written badly, like, and that was the reason why he switched, because he's like, I'm not a dick, and he tries to like, and that's actually what he says when he slams himself against Kang's shield. He's like, I'm not a dick, something like that. They had some funny cuts, like when MODOK was going on his villain dialogue, and Scott just cuts him off right on the spot. Oh yeah, the jelly guy and the holes. Oh my goodness, that went on way too long. So yeah, so there was this jelly guy that kind of looks like the blue blob monster guy from Monsters Inc. Monsters vs Aliens, and he was like, "You have holes? You have 7 holes, man!" He was just going on and on about holes and how he wished he had holes. Like it just got weird at that point because he just kept talking about holes over and over again. And then I think there was a scene in the final battle when Kang's soldiers started shooting him, but because he's jelly, all the bullets were just going through him, and he was making holes, and he started celebrating. He's like, "I have holes!" Like it just felt weird.
Yeah, and then he starts becoming Kirby and sucks all of them.
Oh yeah.
Him sucking the soldiers, that sounded weird. Him becoming Kirby, basically, that was fine, but like there was too many, like the setup was way too long for that.
Cassie, like, she was very, like, you can tell she matured from her 10-year-old self in the first 2 movies. She wanted to help others, and even though she got put in jail for one of the incidents, what did she do that got her in jail?
I don't remember.
Shrinking tech, something to do with.
I think she shrunk a police car or something. Yeah.
She basically wanted to help, and
Yeah.
Ant-Man was like, "No, we should just get out of here."
Yeah. Oh yeah, she did like free the prisoners, and then MODOK comes chasing after her, and then yeah, that whole motivational talk she gives. She was like she used Kang's like Kang was giving a speech like style speech. Okay, no, that's not a good example. Cassie like cuts him off like with her own like transmission and gave like a inspirational talk to people. Also, the final battle. What do we think?
It's very Avengers, Star Warsy, like it's kind of like we're losing hope. Oh no! And then the ants all come in.
Yeah, there were a lot of ants. Then they swarmed everyone. They overpowered Kang. Well, obviously, I think if it wasn't for MODOK, the ants would not have been able to break through and get to Kang.
Before the final act, there's a part where basically Ant-Man, you see him split into a bunch of things, bunch of people.
Sense.
Yeah, the trailer, it looked really cool because we had no idea what was happening there.
Mm-hmm.
But basically in the movie, you find out it's a possibility storm or probability storm, one of those.
Yeah.
Essentially, they explained it as every choice you make, you spawn a new version of yourself. And basically all of them were Ant-Man, but there was one Baskin-Robbins guy. But the issue, it was funny, but the plot hole was that for every possibility, every choice he makes, there should be 1 million more of them that are not Ant-Man, that are Baskin-Robbins people. There should be like millions of those. There should be millions of regular Scott. There should be some that are like convict Scott. He's still in jail. Or like center. Basically, there shouldn't just be Ant-Man and just one Baskin-Robbins dude. Like it's a plot hole, but I'm just being very nitpicky there.
Hank Pym should have died. Because like I said, there was no stakes in the movie. No one significant. In fact, no one significant died except for MODOK, and there was someone else that died. Oh yeah, Kang himself. Like, for there to be stakes, I feel like that would kind of, number one, if Hank died, he can pass all his research to Scott. Like that'd be like a generational thing. So like, let's say like Hank does a sacrificial play. Like he brings in the ant army, and then yeah, Kang kills him. He's like he tries to hold him off. He's like, all right, Scott, I'm gonna pass all my research to you. Blah blah blah. And secondly, that would give hope, because obviously she just lost her dad, and like an arc. She would like actually try, number one, probably in that moment, vengeance. She would probably try to avenge Hank and try to beat the heck out of Kang, but obviously will fail. But that, number one, that would give her some development. Number two, passing on to Scott, and number three, it actually raises tension. There are stakes in the movie.
Oh yeah, there's the dialogue at the end where Ant-Man goes like, everything's fine. Kang basically said he sees the end of time, and that if he doesn't get out, the bad thing will happen, which is well, we find out in the end credit scene, which is probably 1,000,000 or however many Kangs there are attacking Earth or their universe. So Ant-Man kind of goes like, everything's fine, right? But then maybe
like
did I just cause everyone to die? And then it's that inner dialogue is pretty much the end scene. And then he basically goes like, it's fine.
If I had to remove one thing from the movie, definitely the dick part. We do not need the dick part. We take that out.
All the jokes.
Yeah, all the jokes. Just take that out.
Or not all of them, but like most of them.
I would also change from keeping MODOK alive and killing off Hank.
Yeah, remove more jokes. Keep MODOK alive. But I don't
Just
really...
copyrighted.
Well,
That's exactly what he said.
I don't really care who dies, so I guess that's something different.
Part of me kind of wants Kang to survive because he seems like a cool villain.
Right, yeah.
Well, he
But-
technically does survive.
Technically, he does, but like this version of Kang seems cool because more. This is supposed to be like the Avengers threat in the comics, right?
The next big bad, yeah.
Yeah, but it's technically not this version of him, which from the trailer, I think most people are expecting this Kang to be the one everyone's gonna fight later. But it turns out it's not, or at least from what we've seen in the movie, it seems like it's just gonna be other Kangs.
But overall, yeah, no. Apart from those little parts, it was enjoyable. Unlike Love and Thunder, there was a lot of unbearable moments in Love and Thunder. Like this was written okay. So honestly, to the haters out there, like you're entitled to your own opinion, but you may be exaggerating a little bit, if I'm being honest.
Love and Thunder didn't really have a plot significance overall. It's kind of its own thing. Like, this is the first movie in a while that's actually setting up something. Every other movie is kind of like
Their own thing.
or it's like tying off their own trilogy, like Spider-Man.
Okay, if you compare this movie to the previous two Ant-Man movies, where would you put it?
Okay, this one was memorable. The second one wasn't.
Yeah, definitely. Would you put from the top three, like from the three of them? How would you rank them?
Okay. Quantumania is probably the best one. Ant-Man, the original, as second, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp would be third.
Yeah, I think I'd give something similar to that. I feel like this movie is very different from the previous two. So, like, it stands out.
Change of tone.
Yeah, it really stands out. If you have any thoughts, whether it is opposing or agreeing, leave them in the comments. I'd like to know. And I think we're pretty much done then. Yeah, so if you guys want to see us do this again for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is a long time from now, so it's going to be quite a bit.
Not that long.
Yeah, but let us know. Because this is a new format, and I feel it's more engaging than just me ranting on and on and on and on. So, yeah, so guys, that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. Hit the buttons, do all that. I'm looking at both cameras. And thanks for coming out once again. Santos for the second time. First time for this guy. So, yeah, if you want to check out his work, watch the Optimus Prime video. He'll educate you on the beautiful world of Transformers. Okay, so any last words?
Bye.
Like and subscribe.
Alright, we're good. Okay. Alright, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.